All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. And today we're looking at some breaking news out of Japan.
Yeah, big earthquake.
Yeah, a pretty significant earthquake struck just a few hours ago. And we've got tsunami warnings coming in, so...
It's looking pretty serious. Early reports are saying 6.6 magnitude earthquake. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and, anytime you hear Japan and earthquake in the same sentence, you got to think about
The Ring of Fire.
exactly the Ring of Fire.
So can you maybe just give us like a super quick rundown? Like, what is the Ring of Fire and why is it such a hotbed for this kind of activity?
Yeah, so basically picture this giant horseshoe-shaped zone all around the Pacific Ocean. It's where a bunch of tectonic plates slam into each other. I mean, we're talking massive pieces of the Earth's crust.
Yeah.
And all that pushing and grinding, it builds up crazy amounts of pressure and boom, eventually just releases in the form of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
So Japan is basically right on top of that.
Right, it's smack dab in the middle of it.
That explains a lot.
It does.
Okay, so we've got this 6.6 magnitude earthquake. That's got to be strong enough to cause some serious damage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, 6.6 on the Richter scale, that's enough to knock down buildings, especially older structures or anything that's not built to withstand those kinds of forces.
Right. Have we heard anything about damage yet, or is it too early?
It's still pretty early, but there are reports coming in of some structural damage and power outages in the areas closest to where the earthquake hit.
I can imagine.
The real worry right now is the tsunami warnings that have been issued for the Miyazaki and Kochi prefectures. Those are right along the coast.
I was just going to ask you about that because I saw that they're saying tsunami waves have already started hitting the coastline.
Yeah, they're saying the first waves are measuring around 3.2 feet high, which might not sound like a lot, but...
Like you picture a wave at the beach?
Exactly, and think, 3 feet, no big deal. But tsunamis are different. They're not like regular waves. They're this massive surge of water.
Yeah.
And they carry a ridiculous amount of force. So even a 3-foot tsunami wave can knock you off your feet, smash through buildings, drag you out to sea.
Wow, so it's not just the height.
No, it's the sheer volume of water that's moving and the power behind it.
That's terrifying.
It is, and we don't even know the full extent of the damage yet. That'll take a while to assess.
Right. It's like all that debris being carried by the wave. It's like a battering ram just smashing into everything.
Yeah, it's a really dangerous situation.
I can't help but think about that prediction from Japan's meteorological agency just a few months ago.
Oh, yeah, about the increased risk of a once-in-a-century megaquake.
Right, that 100-foot wave.
Man, that's
just terrifying.
It's a terrifying thought. Over 300,000 potential casualties. It's hard to even wrap your head around that.
Yeah, but you mentioned that those megaquakes are rare.
Thankfully, yes. Extremely rare.
So what has Japan done, knowing that they sit on this incredibly active seismic zone?
Well, they've kind of become the gold standard for earthquake preparedness. Their early warning system is insane.
How does that work?
So basically, they have a network of sensors all over the country. And as soon as an earthquake hits, these sensors detect the seismic waves, and the system calculates the magnitude, the location, and boom, within seconds, it sends out alerts through TV, radio, smartphones, everything. And it gives people precious time to take cover or evacuate to higher ground.
That's amazing.
It's incredibly effective. And I've also got seawalls, floodgates designed to minimize the impact of tsunamis. Plus, their building codes are super strict. Pretty much everything has to be built to withstand earthquakes.
So it's like a multi-layered approach.
Exactly. They've got all these systems in place to protect people and minimize damage.
It's really remarkable to see how they've adapted to living in such a high-risk area.
It is.
And it makes you wonder, are there even more innovative things being developed to take that even further?
Oh, yeah, all the time. There's some really cool stuff happening in engineering, for example. They're working on these base isolation systems, which basically allow buildings to kind of float during an earthquake.
So the building just kind of rides it out.
Exactly. It minimizes the shaking and the damage. There's also research into tsunami-resistant architecture and even using artificial intelligence to improve earthquake prediction models.
So it's like a never-ending quest to stay one step ahead.
Pretty much the science and the technology are constantly evolving.
It's really fascinating stuff. So to sum all this up, we've got this 6.6 magnitude earthquake that hit. Japan's tsunami warnings are in effect.
Right.
We don't know the full extent of the damage yet. But thankfully, Japan is incredibly prepared for these kinds of events.
Yep.
With their early warning systems, their infrastructure, and just their overall culture of preparedness.
Exactly.
It really makes you think, what other incredible innovations are out there waiting to be discovered that could help us deal with natural disasters even more effectively?
That's a great question, and it's something that researchers and engineers are working on every day.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
It really is. And it's important to remember that any advancements we make in understanding and mitigating the impact of earthquakes, they don't just benefit Japan. They have the potential to help people in earthquake-prone regions all over the world.
Absolutely. Well said on that note. I think we'll wrap things up here. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya!